Okay, we're out and about today on the Soho Road, speaking to local people, community activists and shopkeepers about the NHS and what it's done for local people in this area. Today we've got the privilege of speaking to one of Soho Road's long-term community activists, Mrs Khan, about how the NHS has supported her and her family. Okay, Mrs Khan, would you like to tell us your story about how the NHS has supported your family?
NHS was quite supportive. About my husband, my brother-in-law was with me. He was suffering same illness as my husband. My husband is suffering with Parkinson's disease. On top of that, he's suffering with Huntington chorea. So my brother-in-law was suffering same. NHS was quite supportive for me and for my family. I'm really grateful for NHS.
What kind of support did you get from them in terms of the work that they did with your brother, for the family? How did they support you?
All kind of support. I mean, my brother when he was ill, they give me. My GP was giving that time. He gave me all kind of support, and my husband, especially when he was suffering and when he was diagnosed, he's about this disease. My husband's consultant, Dr. Anderson, that time the neurosurgical hospital was in Smethwick. It's closed down now, so Mr. Anderson, he gave me support. He was very supportive, and now Mr. Anderson is retired. And it's Mr. Ricard.
I remember earlier when we were speaking, you told us that your daughters actually work for the NHS.
Yeah, she's a GP in London. So she's a doctor. My husband's illness and my brother-in-law, his illness. When they diagnose is about this illness, my daughter want to go in that line.
That's brilliant.
And find out about that sickness. People says they can look after without the NHS. I don't think they're telling you truth. They can't do nothing without the NHS, because NHS is a good sport and very helpful sport. You can't do without the NHS. Bottom line
agree
is
that local services should be protected.
Yeah, they
should. You were telling
be.
us about that the NHS helped you to get your husband moved from the hospital.
Yeah, my husband was in Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Unit 5, and because he was there for a long time, so Dr. Anderson, who was consultant of my husband, when he was slowly and steadily, when he's gone down the hill, he moved him to the home now.
Okay. So the hospital gave you a lot of support in terms of...
Lot of support. When I say lot of support, I mean lot of support. Otherwise, I can't do nothing without the NHS.
And I think stories like this really demonstrate how the NHS have been really important to local people. It tells us that we need these services to support people, not just through any illnesses, but also for the families that are there to support their families that are going through crisis. This is a wonderful demonstration, a wonderful story, and we're really thankful to Mrs Khan for sharing her story with us today.